All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Scalp Solution Podcast. I'm your host, David Santiago, and today I have with me not only a really good friend, but my mentor and one of my favorite scalp micropigmentation artists, Juan Collado, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he is here.
Yeah.
Juan, what is up, my brother? How you doing,
Sorry,
man?
brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for coming up, man. I'm honored, bro. So let's get right to it, man.
Yeah.
I want you to tell everyone who you are, where you from, and what is your craft.
Yeah. So my name is Juan Collado. Like you said, I'm a scalp micropigmentation artist. I've been doing this for almost close to 3 years now. Currently working at Gerow Hair Ink. Which is awesome, you know, being around those guys.
Yeah, I could imagine
what they bring to the table. Yeah, man, but I'm here, man. Super pumped. Talk about some hair loss.
That's right, man. I'm glad to have you here, man.
Yeah,
all right,
man.
So for those that don't know, Juan, well, first of all, I got scalp micropigmentation done myself, and Juan was the one who blessed me and has me looking and feeling sexy.
Ooh.
So you know, that's why. So speaking of, you know, you do SMP. How did you get into SMP? Like, did you just stumble upon it? Like your friends get it done. Like, how'd you even find out about SMP?
So I got my treatment done also, obviously, right? I've had it already for 5 years now and 4 months. I originally got it done. Prior to this, I was in the corporate world and managing a retail bank. And I remember this gentleman coming in looking like maybe the guy had to be like 77, 78. And you see him from afar, and you can see that he has like something weird on his scalp, but it looks like some type of hairline. So when he gets really close to me, I'm like, oh man, this guy freaking tattooed his head. Like, you know, I'm talking about like one of those shade jobs.
Was it a clean job or was it a botch job?
Oh my God, it was.
Somebody took a shader and put it onto his head.
That's what he did. He just shaded, and then he has the hairline, you know, like crispier than a 17-year-old, even down here to where it goes down to the arcs. And I was like, shit, man. But from far, doesn't look crazy. But when you get close, you're like, oh, my God. But that night, I remember talking to my girl. And you can't tell my girl anything. She'll Google everything. So we're talking like, oh, this guy came in and tattooed his head. And she goes, again, this is 5 years ago. So she gets her phone and she's like, hey, baby, like this. And I'm like, no, what's that? And that's why I came across his hair and ended up going for consultation. And ended up getting the treatment done when they were in their prime.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you Googled, found out what scalp micropigmentation was. How long did it take you to make that decision where you were like, you know what, I'm going to go get this procedure done?
Wow, that's a great question. I think it took me like about maybe 2 or 3 months of mulling it over. And honestly, what sold me was when I took my girl to the consultation, she was like, babe, this looks good. You got to get it done. Like, you need to get this done.
So she was all for it.
She was super supportive. Like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And the funny thing is, I remember when I got the treatment done, she goes to me, babe, I could totally see you doing this and you would be a killing because, you know, you like to mess around and be artistic. And I was like, I was too bougie back then. I was like, girl, I'm a vice president, branch manager. How dare you?
I'm a big dog. Don't you dare.
And it's so interesting because I'm here now. And it's like, man, if I would have just jumped on it when she told me, who knows?
But that was also prior to you knowing how lucrative,
yes,
you know, being a scalp micropigmentation artist was or could be.
Well, to be honest, I always knew it was quite lucrative. Because, you know, even myself at that time, I think I paid like $1,500 for 2 sessions. But maybe took let's say less than 2 hours a session. So I could see like, whoa, $750 in under 2 hours. And again, I didn't feel like I had a lot of baldness or recession versus other guys. So I was like, wow, I could imagine how much they're charging for someone who's really, really, you know.
They got Norwood 7.
Who has a Norwood 7, you know,
right.
The top is gone. I could see how much money. But again, it wasn't anything that I was thinking about for myself at the time.
Okay. So let's talk about, you know, when you were experiencing your hair loss, right? Yeah. Prior to getting the SMP, like what did, you know, so what were you, you were just a receding hairline? Did you have widow's peak? Were you, you know, you're losing your hair at the crown? Like,
no, my crown is still really full. I had that whole Jude Law thing where I was kind of like losing, how we say in Latinos, the entrada.
The entradas, yeah, the widow's peak.
So it was coming in, but then the middle portion of it, I was getting a hole in the middle portion of it, and I was like, I'm just balding. It's so weird. But I remember the first time, I think I was like 22 or 23. I'm 33 now, so I was like 22, 23. I remember like passing by a store and seeing myself reflection on a mirror and on a window actually. and thinking like, holy crap, like I'm losing my hair. I went to the barber. These barbers do these barber tricks and they keep your hair.
Right.
And I was like, no, it's crazy. I was like, no, I'm just seeing things. Man, it just felt like it just snapped, and it just happened within the next 6 months. Probably I was already shaving my head already by like the time I was 23.
So you were disguising it by shaving your head bald.
Yeah, just freaking, let me just shave it.
How did that make you feel? Like, how did hair loss make you feel? Like, did you feel like it had an effect on your everyday life? Like, did it affect your confidence?
At first it didn't. At first, me having, coming from, I'm Latino, so I come from a big family. Like, I think I have just from one aunt, maybe 25 cousins just from one aunt.
He's a Latino, ladies and gentlemen.
Give him a little applause.
He's a Latino, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. 25 cousins, one aunt.
One aunt, that's it. and my mom has like, I think like 6, 7, I think like 10 brothers, and my dad has like 15 brothers. So just imagine.
Yep, he's Dominican. That's awesome.
So, they were already, and they're older than me. I'm the youngest. We're like brothers, but I'm the youngest from all of them. They were already, most of them already shaving. So it's kind of, my cousin's got it. It's one of those things kind of like, my cousin got it, so it's not a big deal. But I remember, it was a big deal. I didn't realize at the time how much it affected me. Then me and my girl broke up for 3 years when I was 25 to 28. And that's when I felt like I was in my baldest. Man, I was looking old. And it did definitely affected my confidence while we were single.
So this is your girlfriend, my
current girlfriend, yeah, we just broke up and separated for 3 years.
Because so when you got your hairline back?
No, actually, when we got back together, that's when the whole story happened of me finding out about the hair loss.
Okay.
SMP.
Oh, so she didn't get the new and improved Juan after the. Okay.
She took me back to say where I was.
Okay, man, that's awesome. All right, so you already answered what you were doing prior to SMP. Okay, so who has been the biggest influence in your SMP journey? And real quick, just, for you guys listening out there, SMP is just a abbreviation for scalp micropigmentation. Yeah, I'm not going to keep saying scalp micropigmentation.
Yeah, that's a long one.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too philosophical. Yeah, so who's been your biggest influence in the scalp micropigmentation industry?
I know you sent me these questions, and I should know them off the top, but I don't necessarily have anyone specifically that I could just pinpoint, say, this person here. I can tell you off the bat, people that I feel like definitely gave me some support and some love. So you got Carlos Montes out in Puerto Rico, and him and I started training together in Canada. That's when I met him, and I'm very grateful because he one thing about him was he was always very knowledgeable, I guess, in the sense of like, hey, this is a business, this is how I'm gonna run my business, and this is what I need to do. And he would always kind of like touch base with me. So if he didn't keep on like, hey, Juan, what are you doing? Hey, Juan, are you practicing? I probably wouldn't be here today. You also have, very grateful for Matt Ayulo in Scalp Micro USA.
Scalp Micro USA.
Yeah, he definitely looked out. And in the beginning, man, I wasn't doing too well. And he definitely took a class with him, and he hooked me up and helped me with some sessions I had done prior and really fixed them up for me and showed me how to fix them up.
So I wanna add to that, because I remember you telling me this story.
Yeah.
So at one point in your SMP journey, you were ready to throw the towel in.
I was super ready, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I remember talking to Matt, and Matt was like, listen, no, man, just come here, take the class. He's like, I'll still fix those guys up, but if you want, just take the class, see if you like it. If you don't like it, like I said, I'll still fix them up, but come in. I promise you're not going to leave. And just like he said, I came into the class. He was super chill. I met Aries and all the guys there at the time. And super grateful for him, because without him kind of doing that little segue there, I wouldn't be here where I'm at today. And of course, you got Jonathan and Eric put me under their wing maybe 2 years or a year and a half into my own business. So super grateful for them, for the opportunity I was given and the knowledge I was able to learn in such a rapid pace.
So you was able to find your confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to go attack. I'm going to do this procedure. It's going to come out dope. I'm good.
One thing I remember talking to Carlos remember telling me like, yo, when you hit 25, that's it. It's like something goes off a light bulb. And I was like, yo, bro, I'm in
25 patients.
Yeah, 25 clients, individual clients. And I'm like, bro, I'm in 35 right now, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Feel it.
And that's important too, because so he's in Puerto Rico, so you're going to get, right, anywhere you're in the market, your market's going to have a specific group of people. And us in New York City, you're going to get a wide range of ethnicities, of races, of skin tones, of hair types.
Yeah, I mean, over there it's just straight up boricuas. You know,
Yeah,
you
you're
got
gonna
light
get a certain
skin, or
tones.
you got
Yes,
that,
exactly.
you know, somewhat
Yes.
dark. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna be the same kind of skin tone, same kind of hair density, right? Because we all know everybody's hair density tends to be a little different. If you have more European in you or more Asian, it's gonna change the fold of it. So, you know, you definitely learn a lot quicker in New York City
Because of the diversity.
because diversity. Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so well, what we got here? All right. Tell me, you know what? Let's switch it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the most difficult experience you ever had with a client,
Shoot.
and how did you handle it?
So in the beginning, like I said, because in the beginning you're still kind of you're still pretty much in the learning phase. I mean, in my opinion, I think you're always in the learning phase, and it's important to stay humble in that perspective. There's a lot of this industry will humble you real quickly, and there's a lot of guys out there who don't really have that. But you know, kudos to them. They have that other side, and they drive them wherever they drive them to. But for me, I remember in the beginning, man, when I was doing clients. And I didn't take, that's important too. So, right, it depends where you train. So you learn all these different things, all these different scenarios. And my training that I got was subpar at most. And
Yeah, I think I saw the video. They posted your video on YouTube.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that looks like Juan.
Yeah, just like with one hand, just like
no stretching the skin, no nothing.
Like N1 of S&P, like
darts.
Yeah, boom. It was crazy. I bring that up a lot to the students so they can see it. It's just like how there's a lot of misinformation just everywhere in general. But in the beginning, like I said, when you're starting off, it's very common for you to just not your treatments to go the way you want them to go. And luckily, I think, you know, me coming from the world of chase and retail and dealing with a lot of different people, you learn how to resolve. At the end of the day, all issues are always the same. They're rooted in the same thing. People have a problem, they want you to solve it. So, you know, one thing that I did is obviously you want to remain calm and tell them you're going to be there and you're going to figure out the solution, figure out how to help them, figure out how to make it right, so to speak. I think as long as you don't go missing, people will be fine. You know?
So what impact would you like to leave? Or actually, you know, what impact would you like to make on the S&P world?
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of people out there who have taken training that either have probably given up on the craft, or if they are, they're kind of on that in and out, and they're probably at the verge of probably saying, you know what, this is not for me, or let me just move on from it. Or there's people who are doing them and they're like, man, I keep struggling. So for me, I feel like there's an opportunity to help these people. I think there's more than enough both men and women out there, or receding men and women, that everyone can eat, so to speak.
So huge playing field.
Yeah, so if I can help these people the same way that people have helped me in my journey, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all these people that I mentioned and a lot more other people. I wouldn't be here today. So if I can somehow kick that forward and help someone, that'd be perfect.
So you talking about in regards to the knowledge as an artist, as a practitioner.
As a practitioner, because it's always the same common mistakes you see it. You know, it's easy for me to pick it up now, especially because the amount of people I've probably trained already.
So speaking of the training, how many people have you trained already? Because I mean, I'm looking at you on Instagram, and you either training or you're doing about 2, 3, 4 heads a day. Like your volume is incredible.
Yeah, we do a lot of people a day. I think it's like 15 people individually a week, roughly. Could be more if I wanted to, but
this is you. You do
me
15 heads a day.
Individual, different people, a week. So, but as far as training people, how many people have I trained? I would say like a little under 100 people.
I mean, that's still a lot, because I mean, when you say 100, you guys are putting like what, maybe about 4,
we
5
tend to keep
each
it,
class.
Yeah, we
keep
tend
it
to
very
tend to keep it tight and close. You know, I don't think we've ever done more than 6. We don't really like to try to keep it maybe like a one practitioner for every 2 students or so. Maybe I don't even think we've ever done. No, we've never done 9. I think we kept it always at 6.
Okay, and that makes sense. You want to give them the
most attention. A lot of times you go to these classes, and the things, everyone's different. So the same way that you could go into a class and you could be like asking me all the questions, right? It behooves you to do that. But there are people who are more reserved and they have the questions, or just, I don't want to feel stupid, I want to ask these questions. You see it everywhere. So if you keep the classes nice and condensed and small, you kind of encourage these people to have that safe platform for them to ask and say, how do I do this? What about this? And then, you know, when I give my classes, I give them more than they should, because there's just so much out, and it's a 5-day course. And this is one of the reasons why I changed the course into a foundations instead of, you know, a master course, how people label some of these courses, because really what you're learning is foundations. You know, nothing more. It's foundations. You're just kind of like putting the floor down, and you're putting the layering, and now you're gonna build on this.
Yeah. I mean, I know I had a shitload of questions when I came to you, you know, to do my I came down to you guys at Gerow to do my master's training, and I remember I had an entire sheet. I think I had like 21 questions.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, yo, get
and this is 21 questions
Like
after
50
already, you know, like he said, you know, after 25 heads, you feel discomfort. I think I was already past 40.
Yeah.
And here I was still looking for that. I don't know, man. Yeah. Like what's missing? I need some fine tuning. So I know I had a lot of questions, and you definitely you helped me out. It was great. I mean, how you gave me the material and the technique was amazing, and it has been, and I've told you this before, it has been instrumental to like my success here at Scalp Solutions, and I always appreciate you. I'm trying, brother.
I see it, man. This guy's killing over here, the silent killer.
The silent killer. I don't have a gunshot sound. Pow, pow. All right, so check this out. Let's talk hair, all right? Let's talk hair. I know you told us you have the SMP procedure done. So now, how important is your hair to you? Like, what role does that play in your daily routine?
So I think hair is hugely important. It's, you know, one of the things I see women all the time that we do the treatment for them, and it always saddens me, because it's one thing as a man, society accepts men that are balding. But you can see it even now, guys letting their beard grow like myself, or mustache. You can't get in the top, so you let it grow here.
You compensate.
Start getting bushy eyebrows or something just to get the hair. So
I try too. I only get the goatee, man. I'm not a real Puerto Rican, man. I only get the goatee.
The little goatee is cool, though, bro. And let me tell you something. The reason why I let it grow is because it's so annoying to be cutting it all the time and trimming it. But I think hair is super important. I would say that out of every 20 guys, there's always that one guy who like goes bald. It's like, I don't really care. And they truly mean that. Even those guys don't end up getting the treatment done because they're like, it's just easier. It's whatever, you know.
I'm one of them.
I would say yes. I was thinking that the same thing.
I am one of them.
You're one of those guys.
I was shaving for years. I accepted it. And, you know, here I was, you know, I'm a man's man. I don't need to worry about that. You know, I'm Marine, cop, I'm badass. I don't care. And then I'm like, no, I need my hairline back. Yeah, Juan, hook me up, brother. Okay, so you experienced hair loss. What other, like, what were you, prior to SMP, like, were you going, like, to the barbershop? So you know how sometimes they have, like, these enhancements. You know, they got spray, they got the hair fibers, Beijing, dyes. Like, what were you doing
prior to that?
Prior to the SMP?
So I haven't been in the barbershop in a long time. So I've probably been shaving or cutting my own hair, rather, for like a good portion of like 10 years, probably more. But I probably stopped going to the barbershop around that time. So I didn't get a chance to experience all the different enhancements that you were mentioning before. I know that's out there now because the industry I'm in now. But of course, you know, when you went to the barber, they would leave the hairs a little bit longer in certain areas to help it cover a little bit.
Yeah, comb it forward.
Yeah, just little tricks like that. I ended up even going for a hair transplant consultation when I think I was 22, 23, right around there. And I thank God that I brought my girlfriend with me, because she's one of those that will ask you a million questions to the point where if you got some shady intentions, she's going to bring it out of you. So she kept on I was ready, just like, she's like, it may not work, it may not, whatever. I'm like, let's just, whatever.
Go for it.
How much? Let's just do it. I don't even have the money. Let's just do it. And she kept on pushing her, like, well, why do you recommend it? Why? She was like, you know what? They just snapped. The consultation.
The consultation.
Yeah. She's like, you know what? He's too young. He's 21. He shouldn't get this treatment done, or 22 at the time. My girlfriend's like, why didn't you just tell us that in the beginning instead of spending 30 minutes of you trying to convince him to get the treatment done? Why are you saying that now? So that opened up another floodgates. But that just kind of rubbed me off the wrong way, because I was like, that's a good point. Why did you wait till now to bring that up?
Wow. So she tried to sell you, and then
And the wifey came
Budged.
back and was like, "No,
Wifey saved you.
yeah, she saved me from being botched."
Where'd you go for the consultation?
Honestly, I don't remember. I would shame them right now, but I don't remember where it was. But it wasn't New York City.
I would shame them.
I would shame them. But it was in New York City, somewhere in the city. And I was terrible at the city. I'm still terrible at the city. Then before that, I didn't even know how I even got there.
What do you mean, like
where in the city it was? Like I'm telling you, like I'm terrible. Like you spin me a few times, I'll be lost.
So how old were you when you started experiencing hair loss?
I want to say that the first time I noticed, it was probably like about 22, 23, and it just got. And the funny thing is, I ended up growing my hair again at 25 and realizing like, oh shit, I have a ton of hair still. Like, why was I shaving for 2 years? It's so stupid. But then by that time, I had done all the damage from shaving it. And then I was like, you know what? That's it. My hairline was too pushed back.
So were you? How were you styling it? Was you growing out? Were you pushing it back, or were you combing it forward and then shaping it up?
No, I think maybe let's.
Was doing the Puerto Rican shape up?
No, it was my actual hair. No, it was my actual hair, and it was short because I probably had like a 1.5, so it wasn't long. You know what I mean? It wasn't long. I still kept it short.
Okay,
maybe like
it's created a little cast.
Maybe a little bit less than what my beard is right now.
Got you.
But I still had a ton of hair, even on the hairline. It was just a little bit further back, and I've always had, even since I was a little kid. I saw pictures of me recently when I was like 5. I always had a big forehead, so it was cool.
Welcome to the club. you know, now that you say that, the other day I was looking at my treatment, and I was kind of like, you know what, man, I got a big fucking forehead. I should go see Juan and be like, yo, can you bring it down a little bit? So I asked Cass, I was like, babe, you know, what do you think? And she's like, I think it looks great. I was like, I think my forehead is looking like a 5 head.
Nah,
so I was ready to, I was ready to like, you know what, man, Juan, bring me down like about a quarter of an inch.
No, I feel like I have a big forehead, but yeah, I let it grow when I was 25, and I was so surprised about like how much hair I still had, and it wasn't looking bad. And I was like, fuck, I could have probably kept my hair for like 2 years
before I
started shaving.
Shaved it down. So, well, while you were combating hair loss, like, how did that affect your life? Because I mean, I know earlier you said, you know, with the confidence and everything, but like,
I you know, obviously when you with someone, so in my case, I was with my girl, so it wasn't even something that was still kind of affecting me. You know, I think I would do things subconsciously without realizing that I was doing it because maybe I had a confidence issue or I was overcompensating because I didn't have hair, so to speak. But I really noticed it when her and I broke up because, man, I was so shy, man. I did not feel confident at all. I remember getting a Beamer, the convertible 3 Series. And I was like, yo, this is it. This car's going to do everything for me. I don't got to say nothing. It doesn't change nothing. If you're not talking to them.
You know, I would have imagined that too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Chris Rock said, you know, the more money you get, the cuter you look. And it's like, oh, yeah, I got a nice Beamer, BMW.
Yeah. But Chris Rock is leaving out the part was like, you still have to talk to people. You still have to go and be like, what's up? What's your name? How are you? You know, if you, it's like, how does the saying go? You miss 1,000% opportunities you don't take. So
got you. Yeah.
If you're not asking.
If you're not. Got you. All right. So, and you said you decided to go S&P. You said how long ago did you do the procedure?
It's been 5 years now and 4 months. Yeah.
5 years and 4 months. Mm-hmm. And then when did you start practicing?
It's going to be now 3 years in July, I believe, of this year.
3 years in July? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you decided on training, what was one of the most important things for you in choosing the company that you went with?
Great question. So it's not like now where you have a plethora of people. You can kind of go and then get testimonials. You can get reviews. You can get an idea in a sense. And also, too, I think people now are more educated than ever. So whether you're a person who's thinking about getting the treatment or a person who's interested in being a student and learning the craft, you can kind of follow people on Instagram. You could do your own legwork. You can also learn a ton before you even get there. Where for me, it was a little different. When I took training in Canada, the way that I found out about them, I was doing a ton of research. So first I looked at the place where I got my treatment done, which was his hair, and sent them a bunch of emails. Finally got in contact with somebody, and they were asking for maybe 3 times the amount of money that I ended up spending for treatment. And it was like a 6 months process, and I think it was more like employment. It wasn't really necessarily to work on my own.
So wait, 6 month, what, like a internship?
Some kind of convoluted training process, I guess, for like 6 months that would take.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was very complicated, and it was like, and just the communication aspect. They sent me a response like maybe a month and a half, 2 months after I already sent this. It was like, I can't really trust you or give you my money at this point to be a student and learn. So, I told you my girlfriend Googles everything, so we ended up Googling. She found a website. I think it was called like the best SMPtraining.com. And, you know, they're comparing these. One of them, what they were comparing was his hair, that company that I went to in Canada. I think maybe another person as well. And they were comparing different things about the prices. They were comparing about the treatment, how many days you're going to be there, how many models you're going to work on, and so forth and so forth. I didn't know, though. The only part that I did not know at the time was that company had written that whole, you know, bestsmptraining.com was like, imagine like you a Scalp Solution. You created it. And
you create another.
Yeah, exactly. Where you bigging yourself up and make it seem like independent, but it's not.
That's actually a pretty good.
It's a good scheme.
It's a good marketing stunt.
But that's kind of like fraudulent.
But so this is
unethical
for the dudes in Canada.
Yeah.
That did this.
But I'm grateful because I met Carlos there. Me and Carlos are really, really great friends in Puerto Rico, I was telling you about. So things happen for a reason, but I ended up going there and it was just like, I remember learning about color theory with them, and I was kind of like, yeah, you just take this and you pour it in here and you pour it in there and you kind of shake it up and it's like, boom. And you're like, I remember at the time too, like, again, you don't know what kind of questions to ask. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And Carlos was like, no, it doesn't.
So, so like, were they doing like the light, medium, dark thing?
I wish they were doing that. They weren't even doing that. They were doing like a red. So if someone was like, let's say like more paler, so they had red, they had a brown, they had a black, and there was, I believe, one more color I can't remember, and then witch hazel, which, you know, you never put witch hazel into no one's scalp. So
that's a tattoo thing.
Yeah, so you would take witch hazel, you would take, let's say for your complexion, so I would take a little bit of the brown, a little bit of the black, maybe a sprinkle of the red, but you're kind of like, how are you making this stuff? And plus, the pigments were the cheapest freaking pigments ever. So back in the days, that's another thing too, the way they would get you was like, look, we're going to give you this training and all this, but because we keep actually your expenses as low as possible. And for those of you out there who don't know what I'm talking about, one of the ways that they did it before was we have the spot for the needles and we have the spot for the pigment or the ink, right? And it was like $500 for like 3 needles and 3 of those terrible little pigments that I was describing. So that's how they used to get you. It was kind of like you're paying for the needle and the pigment. I mean, now you see, now they can't even get you for the needle, but they're still getting people on the
Well, they're still getting people on the ink.
Ink.
I see little bottles of like
terrible
2 ounce.
A lot of this stuff.
3 ounce bottles, $180.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, is a little unethical.
I agree.
I prefer not to not do something like that.
Yeah.
I would rather I'd just rather be honest.
It's crazy because I get asked, you know, a lot of questions on social media, and everyone's always asking, and then it's usually like these new practitioners that are like, hey, you know, I just did my training over at this place, and, you know, I bought this ink for $150. Do you know where I can get it for any cheaper? And I'm like, yeah.
Just buy the real brand.
Buy the real brand, and you'll be good for like 100 heads.
Yeah.
But that's a whole, I mean, man, we could have a whole
conversation on that. But
hour and a half.
But you're seeing a stronghold in that break too. You're seeing it because guys like you, guys like myself, guys like Ray, that are sharing the knowledge with other people. Like, hey, this is where I went. This is what I got. I've been using this, you know. So
getting away from, because you see this like there's a small group of people that are pumping it out, and you know what? You can't be mad at them. Because, hustling people, people hustle. They got to eat. I just don't feel good. Me neither. Doing that.
And even as I know there's other artists that know, for example, let's say you're making pigment and they know that your pigment is not real, but they say, you know what? I'm going to pay $150. I could do X amount of treatments. I'm still making Y amount of dollars. So it's
right. So the way they look at it is like, you know what? I'm going to make this money back.
And at least I know their pigment is good. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I mean, to each their own. But for me, I wish there would be more transparency as far as the industry, because there's still so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what because of the failure for that transparency, I think that kind of holds back where SMP could actually grow to
Absolutely.
be, because people are going to different practitioners or different artists, and they're getting totally different information. Like no one's on the same
message.
page.
Yeah. People lie too like crazy. In this industry, people lie. And sometimes it's willful blindness. Like they really don't know and they think they're spitting to you what they think they know, but chances are it's wrong. But like you said, it's true. If we come together like as an industry, we could probably get one of these major people to do an exclusive line of pigment.
Yeah, of ink. Just pigment just for it.
Just for scalp. But then I think you can do certain things to the properties of it that I think will be better for the treatments overall.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I would love to see that, but I don't know. What I'm seeing is more people just saying, "Oh, I'll make a fast buck."
2019, man. Who knows, man? Who knows? We might open up the floodgates.
Oh, we're gonna try. We could try. We could try, my brother. All right, so let's do this, right? I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
Let's do it.
All right. So we know that artists don't like to give out tips and tricks.
I'll give them out.
I don't know why.
I'll give them out.
I don't mind doing it. I'm not saying that I'm also one of the top dogs out there, but if I can bring value to someone, I mean, by all means, I'm all for it. So we're going to ask you, well, not we want to know. I'm going to say we because it's me too, all right? Because, I'm not getting 15 heads a week, all right? I'm getting maybe like about 2 or 3. Hey, that's good for me.
That's perfect.
That's good for me, but I'm not quite at 15. If I can do 15 for the month, I'll be great. So we're gonna get into some tips, and let's start it off with some advice from Juan Collado. What you said the American way, Collado, coño.
Collado,
all right. So, what are your top 3 tips, tricks, or advice for anyone who is either experiencing hair loss or wants to be an SMP artist?
So, I would start with hair loss first. When it comes to hair loss, I think what it is, the earlier you catch it, especially this day and age, we're in 2019, there's so much more information. There's so much more products available, alternatives, that I'm a huge advocate for people keeping as much hair as possible, even people who come get the treatment done. I just think overall it just adds a different dimension to the layer, to the treatment, but also it just doesn't handcuff you. You have to cut your hair as often if you don't have to. So first things first is like, if you're 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever, doesn't matter your age, but don't act like you're not experiencing hair loss. If you notice something, go speak to a dermatologist, figure out what your solutions are, what can you do, because nothing can help you regrow hair, specifically in the hairline, but you can stop it, or you can prevent it or slow it down, or depending, again, a lot of this stuff starts off with stress.
Right.
And then it just manifests.
I know that's where mine came from.
Yeah. So yeah, it's surprising, but a lot of people don't realize where that stress, that's where it's coming from, and don't litigate it, and it becomes worse. And then once you start losing hair, it's not coming back.
Game over.
First things first, I would tell you is like, make sure you do your due diligence, find out where you're at. Secondly, once you figure out what those things are, find out all the options that are available, and then go do what you would probably do. Like, okay, which one is best for me and why at my stage and where I'm at, right? So if you're 33 and you just started losing just your hairline, maybe a hair transplant might be the best option for you, depending the look you're going for. So as I'm not one of those type of guys that people come for the consultation, I'm like, oh, don't do this. No, don't bring that up. We don't talk about that here. No, I really feel like if that's the best solution for you, it's the best solution.
You know what? That's awesome that you bring that up, and I was gonna ask you after, like, how do you feel? So the name of the show is Scalp Solutions. My business is called Scalp Solutions, and it never was evolved around just scalp micropigmentation, because I'm a barber. I do the hair units, and now the SMP, so it just made sense to keep it. But you also advocate for other solutions. Yes. So it's not just like, all right, well, hey man, this is all you have here is SMP. It's 100% guaranteed. Like you make them knowledgeable of other.
Of course, yeah. You'd be surprised how many people come in, because in addition to doing those 15 guys, we're also doing like, I don't know, maybe 20 consultations a week. Probably just in person. We're not even talking about
Jesus.
We're not even talking about the phones and stuff like that.
What's your cheapest procedure
That we charge? I think maybe low twos for somebody who just wants like a hairline or something.
Low
like that.
twos. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's just do some
hair or a transplant scar.
Do basic math here. Let's say $1,500
For a scar, yeah, it's about right.
And no, not even a scar. Let's just say whatever. That's just a number we're gonna work with because we know that's not where you work. Right? You multiply that by 10, 15. Do the math, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lucrative industry.
Very lucrative.
To be in, especially if you have you do the right work. All right. So you let them know about hair transplants.
So all the solutions that are available to them, like I said, if you catch it early, the better that is. And then my third thing that I would tell people who are experiencing hair loss is, okay, so you tackled it early, or you took care of it as soon as you could. You found out your best solutions and your alternatives. And then I would say, then finally is like, be realistic with your options. Like, like if you're a classic Norwood 7, for those of you people who don't know what that is, basically that means you just have those hairs on the sides. Think of like your principal.
You got the U shape.
Yeah.
That's a Norwood 7.
Just the hair in the sides and the back, right?
Think about
right
what the monks look in the textbook.
Exactly, yeah. So once you get to that point, and you, let's say, for example, decide, I'm going to go with a hair transplant as my best option. You're not going to get the results you're looking for if, let's say, for example, you want an edge up or a hairline that's going to make it look like when you were 20. There's one thing that Jonathan brings up is how many hairs are there per square inch, right? And it's like 1,200, and we're talking about follicles. So we're talking about most follicle hairs consist of like 2 or 3 strands. Some of them even have 4 or 5, and like less than, I think 20% probably have just one strand of hair. So when you think about what a square inch is, and you think about there's like 1,200 follicles in there. Think about that, right? And we're just talking about square inch. Imagine if you're missing, I don't know, a lot of real estate and you only have a little real estate. There's only, you're taking from, borrowing from Paul to pay Peter, whatever it is. I'm like, you're not really solving anything. So that would be my solution. That would be my 3 tips for someone who's experiencing hair loss.
All right, there you go. That's his 3 tips. Juan is a classic artist. He's not giving no tips. He don't want to tell you.
Now I tell you. Now I tell you, for an artist out there who's starting, I want to say the biggest issue that I see a lot of times with the artists is, one is if you're starting off in the game, or I don't care where you're at, you should have a good understanding about barbers. I really feel like a lot of people don't bring that component to. I think you're at where you're at, and as quickly as where you got to, because you have that component of being a barber, the hair units, and you just understand hair. You understand fades. You see what they look like. You see the transition piece. You know what natural hairlines look like. You know how to contour them. And even that, we see a lot of barbers still that come get the training still have issues with those things. But it's one of those things that once it clicks for them, and everything just makes sense.
Right.
The learning curve is much faster. So I would say one is to become aware, even like go to a barbershop and just hang out in a barbershop. Or now you don't even have to go anywhere. You can just go on
Instagram, YouTube.
You could follow these dope barbers, and there's some amazing barbers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you could just learn a lot. Or you can just say, you know what, let me cut homeless people's hair. I can learn how to do it, and I'm doing a good deed, and now I can help them get a job or something like that. So you can start off with that. That'd be my first thing, is to get a good understanding on cutting hair and seeing how hair looks, because density is also too. That's another one. Density, everyone is different, but you'll give you an idea of the different densities and how they formulate, how they operate, and how they look on people. So that'd be the first thing. Second thing I would tell you is color theory is probably going to be the biggest challenge that a lot of people have.
Absolutely.
Color theory, when to go dark, how dark to go, how light to go, and all these different things. What session should I go dark? And I think when it comes to color theory, you need to be able to learn as you go and experiment. But it's about experimenting, in a conservative way. So what that means is, we talk in patch test, right? You take maybe a dimension of the size of a quarter, and let's say you're my client and you're getting your first or second session, whatever it is, and I'm reluctant to go dark or go whatever. Then take a spot and then use that spot there randomly so that you can kind of monitor it and see how that pigment, that shade will look over time on that specific person. Because not a lot of people are kind of scared to go dark, and what it is, they keep using the same shade and it creates like kind of like a shadow, and it just doesn't blend in well. I know because I've done it when I first started.
So when you say a shadow, when you say it creates a shadow, you're talking about like they're not going dark enough.
They're not going dark
enough. It's like
enough,
a light little tint,
and they just keep densing it to the point that they overdensed it too much, and it creates a shadow, and you don't see, it doesn't really pop at you.
Doesn't look like grain or anything.
Doesn't look like follicles. So that'd be number one. Would be the hair. Number two would be, like I said, the color theory. And then the third one that I would say that people probably have an issue with is density. I would say density is probably the biggest thing that people have an issue with. One of the things that I do when I train in the classes is I have them go through like different scenarios or experiments, and I'm like, okay, give me a tight density, give me a loose density. And what I want to show people is how you control the density, even if, right? So if you make a bigger impression, right, and bigger dot size, you're going to have to change the density around that so everything looks just smooth. So the more density you could practice, right? And with good practice, good behavior is kind of like an athlete, right? When you're practicing, you see let's take like LeBron James, for example. I'm not sure where his practice routine is like, but when he's practicing with a purpose. He's practicing because he wants to work on something that he has the foresight to say, you know what, this is an area where I can improve. And a lot of people don't do that. They don't sit there and say, I can improve, or they overwhelm themselves. I need to improve on everything. So freak it. Well, how can I start? Start with something. I think start small and then work your way and build up and build up and build up. You know.
Got you.
So those will be my takeaways that people.
There you go. There's some tips. That's the best you're gonna get from him.
Well,
for right now. That's for right now. For right now. If you
would ask for 4, I would have given you 4. No, I'm joking.
If you would, all right, man. Look, Juan, I appreciate you coming up here. You know, I know you got a real busy schedule. You are my man, bro. I appreciate you,
brother. You know, for you, I'll do anything. But it's been an absolute pleasure to come out here.
Glad to have you here, man. I hope we could do it again.
Yeah, we love
hopefully you don't get too big for me.
Never that.
And
brother.
if you do, you know, you have me on speed dial, so when I call you, you see my name.
Yeah, I got you, brother.
I appreciate you coming up, my brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's show. I appreciate you for listening. Until the next time.